Hello and welcome to another in-between episode of Modular in a Week. In the last episode we did loads of cables, and in this episode we'll make the busboard so we have some place to connect all our cables to. We're not going to make the power supply, only the busboard. As I said before, this is just a beefed up power supply with the same design as I did in episode 0. Just 10-folded the capacitance to 4700 microfarad instead of 470. And because we now have a busboard, I added a 5-volt regulator and a few extra things of that. I'll put a link in that in the description as well if you want to beef up yours as well. So the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna make one of these boards. And this is the now de facto standard of 10 by 10 centimeters. So this will also be a crash course in EasyEDA, JLCPCB and LCSC. The reason for that is that I've had many people asking me if I could show how to get started in EasyEDA. And this board here is so simple, so I think I can do this quite quickly. We don't want the video to be as long as the last one. That was a bit long, sorry about that. Let's show you how to do this, and I'd also like to say thank you to my Patreons who support my work and all the things I do, and for doing that, they sometimes get a few glimpses of what happens behind the camera, behind the scenes of these more polished videos. So if you're interested in that, go check out Patreon. And other than that, let's go and look how to build this in EasyEDA. A few things to know before getting started that makes things easier. EasyEDA is a CAD design program for schematics and PCB designs done online, as much as Eagle and programs like that. It is very much integrated with LCSC for parts and JLCPCB. So these are the three branches of a larger company, I guess. So LCSC is for buying components, and JLCPCB is for making the PCB. Even though they are integrated as such, it is good to know that you can export Gerber files from EasyEDA and use in any other online ordering firm for ordering your PCBs. You don't have to use JLCPCB. So no affiliation or anything like that from me. You can use whatever service you want. I just like the workflow because it's quite easy. And I guess that's one of their powers. So positive things to this is that you can get parts. So when you want to design a PCB, you can go into LCSC, make sure that you find the part, and from that, and you take this numbers, the C number, and get that into EasyEDA, and you can easily make a PCB with that exact product and just order the PCB and product at the same or component at the same time. So with this said, I'm not going to show you how to create an account and make an account and do all that. Once you get an account, you get to your user page, and here you have your projects if you want to work with other people, and yeah, loads of stuff. I don't know, I mostly do the projects page. And here are some of my projects. I've got a bunch. Let's make a new project, and we're gonna call this Power Bus Board. and we get a project link to this. We can write a lot of information if we want to. We can make it public or private. And we create it. And then we get to this. We can now, from this project page, we can make schematics and we can make PCBs. It's really easy to make a schematics and then make a PCB from that, and then you get something called rat lines that tells you which solder points should be connected with traces, and you can add them yourself. You can use an auto route. So just we're gonna make a PCB from scratch, but I just want to show you how easy it is. So we make a new schematics. So you want to add a part, and you can just go into the EEE library. Here's the most common ones like resistors, capacitors, stuff like that. But so then you go back to LCSC and C3406. So we want to make a busboard, and we want to use this component. So we have the LCSC part number C3406, and we go back into here, and then we go to libraries, and here we have loads of libraries, schematics libraries, EasyEDA, LCA electronics. You don't need to do anything, you just make a search, and we find this part, and we see that we both have the part for the schematics and for the PCB. So we place this, place it here, and we place another one there, and another one there, and another one there. And then we want some solder pads, and that can be done with a connector like this. That's the easiest way. And we add 8 of these. This text can't be empty, but you can write whatever you want here. Hello. And if you don't want to see them, press that one and prefix display name, no. And then we just have the prefix, that's the P12 in this case, R1 over there. We can also choose not to show that one. Then it's very difficult to write to read the schematics though. Then we can add these like so. And we can add these together. So this is just really quickly just to show how this can be done. So this is our schematics, and then we can go up here and we can convert to PCB. When we do this, and we don't want to check that, we do this, right, we need to save, and then we can convert to PCB. Now we get a suggested size of the board, and we get the pins, and we get all the connectors, and we get those rat lines, and those we can see or not see, depends on what we do. And that's good, because then when we route this, it's easier or not to route. And the rat lines are good to know where to put the traces. Pressing space turns things around, and you can do that like so, move things around until you find a good way of having it. You can then add traces like so. Now, crash course. So let's not save this one and make a PCB from scratch and not go via the schematics. That's easier in our case. So we go back to the project homepage and create a PCB. Most online stores today for PCBs have that 10 by 10 centimeters works fine. I have had that they told me that the PCB, the last time I made this PCB, they told me it was a bit big when it was 100 by 100. So just to be on the safe side, let's make it 2 millimeters smaller. So here's our square, which we now want to add loads of these 3406. So now when we place these, they become PCB parts instead of schematics parts. And the ones I did last time was a bit tight with 6 of them on one row. So I'm gonna get 5 in a row. And let's just try to space them as evenly as we can. Right, so they're quite evenly spaced out there. Can actually move it down a bit. And then we want to add the header pins or connection pins. We can add another 2 jacks or 1 jack and just jump with cables from board to board. But I think it's better to add a header right here to add to this. So we can either take these pads and just add 8 pads in a row, like so. Here we have the undo button. Or we can go into LCSC and find a pin header 1 by 8. So here we found a header pin. We don't need to use this, but it is nice to use these because then we have a well spaced row of pins if we want to use pin headers or whatever. So we search for this one, find it there, and let's place it like so. So we get it perfectly in line, and we'll move it later, like right now. And then we connect these together with a trace tool. We can either go from 1 to 1 to all the way down, or we can just be a bit lazy because we've put them all in a nice row and just do like that. Right click and it stops tracing, so you trace and click left click, and when you press right click, the last trace is removed. So a few things, these are quite thin now, so what we can do is we can hide everything else, so we just see the traces, and then we can actually, we need to have those as well. Solder mask, no we don't, that one we don't need. And that one we don't need. Bottom and top paste layers could be good to have. So do like so, and then here we have 2.54. We can do it 0.5. Let's see, we can make it even wider, I think. 0.75. Nice wide power strips. And we take everything back. So this is the pen. We've only been playing on the top layer and top silk layer. That's the two layers we've done. You can also put components and traces on the bottom layer and component layout silk screen on the bottom layer. Good to know. And also those will be, for you, the viewer watching from the top side, they will be mirror turned. But we're not going to do that today. This is a crash course, really fast, as quickly as possible. So technically we are done. A few things. We might need to add a little text to say where the red stripe should be. And the red stripe should be where this little line is. So we have that. So we can add a bit of text. And as you can see, the text is red now. That means we are writing this on the copper layer. So that's not the correct layer to put it on. We can write it first. Again, if you want to turn it, just press spacebar. You turn it. And we set that there. And then we have top layer, we say top silk layer. And there it is. Let me just show you how it looks like on the bottom silk layer. It is backwards, upside down, everything. Mirror turned. One more thing is that these are now channelized all the way down. Ground should actually be connected together, like so and so. If any of the cables should be broken, then we are really certain that we have a good grounding for these. So we're done. Let's copy this because we want 3 of these, right? And while we copy, we also managed to copy the edge of the board, this purple line. That is the edge of the board, and by adding it in the middle like this, we actually get panelized. So when we order this from JLCPCB, it will be, they will add a cut in the middle for each of these, and thereby making it 3 PCBs that you can break apart when you get it. So this will be this PCB will still be only $2 or $5 if you choose to order it like that. This can also be done, you can also, JLCPCB can do the panelizing for you, and that you do by, I'll find that here under Tools, and you have Panelize, and they do it for you within the 10 by 10 centimeters. And this works. I've done a few really small PCBs, like the SMD to through-hole adapters and things like that. When there's too small, they do add another charge for them being too small. But it's still cheaper than buying these really, really small ones as one PCB. So in this case, we are done. That was a hopefully fast build. We can now go and to this file here, generate fabrication file, and we need to save it, of course. Save it. We call this busboard PCB. We don't want to check that, and we don't want to check that. And here you have the option to either order at JLCPCB or generate Gerber files. And if you generate Gerber files, you get a zip file that you can upload to any online PCB service, and it should work. But in my case, I'm gonna order from JLCPCB. We want to order 10 of these. We want to have them yellow, green, blue, white, black. We can choose whatever color we want. Green is often the one that takes the least time to make. And then they upload it to JLCPCB for you. All the configuration you did already is still here. And then we save to our cart. When choosing green ones, you have 24-hour turnaround time. So if you want it really quickly, take the green boards, or else you can choose any other color. Let's go back into EasyEDA, and because if you did a schematics, we didn't do that in this case, but if you did, you can also go and order the bill of materials, boom, from LCSC. So in this case, we get it from the schematics, so it's totally up the wall. But what we could do, if we had the right components here, we could just do order, and we would get into LCSC with the parts that we want, and we could add as many as we'd like. So in this case, we do want these. These are actually the only ones we want. So we can do that, and multiples of 5. I think we can buy 50 and get it a bit cheaper. So we buy parts for $2 and add that to the cart. And when you do an order from LCSC, so make the order from LCSC directly after you make the order for the PCBs, because when you have a PCB order, you can send the components with the PCB and get a lower price on shipping. And there's a lot of dollars to save there by shipping it together. So good advice for that. And with that done, you will in a couple of days have a PCB similar to this one. The one I did today only had 5 connectors. This one had 6. This was a bit tight. You can, of course, make it just as you'd like. And also, if you buy parts from LCSC, you have a bag of parts as well. I'll have the Gerber files for this one available on my Patreon if you want to use that. And as you could see, this goes half an hour, and you can draw your own and have it made exactly the way you'd like to have it. So hope you like this video, and hope that you and I and everyone can have good stable power in our modular from now on, and I can start making modules again. So until the next video, take care, bye.